Ah, greetings, traveler. It is a pleasure to see you. Why, you have good timing today. I just received an eyewitness report saying the incoming storm is pretty big. So please, don't stand out there in the weather. You are more than welcome to enter my humble abode and share the fire with me.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. If you take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
Well, traveler, the Irish fella has been spending a little time at his place of power. I did leave for a while, but I couldn't stay away. I had to come back. So, as you've seen by now, probably, I posted 2 exercise videos, and I worked hard on the script for this. And speaking of, I have to give a shout out to the person who recommended this. Now, to keep his identity anonymous, I will only give him a shout out as Doc Holliday's stunt double. I want to thank him for recommending this subject to me. So, we are social creatures. But you wonder what causes an urge to separate ourselves. One can easily see that the trite phrase confirmation bias can be used to see a tendency for like-minded people to congregate together. If one has been forced into the chameleon role, as I have repeatedly, that chameleon skill allows you to observe multiple gatherings. Sure, I've always been on the fringes, more or less, but it's been enough. I can see the general workings of these groups and usually sense when there's more beneath the surface. And I gotta admit, how can I not be an outsider when I'm usually the only black face? Just like Ivory Soap back in the day, 99, 44, 100% time, it was just me. In any organization, you know, there's the majority, and then there's what back in the day Marines called that 10%. Probably a lot more these days, but there's always a percentage that are going to give you trouble. Whether through being inept, careless, or spiteful, there are always those within a group who will claim most of them are not ideologically pure. This leads to internal tension, and in extreme cases, a civil war will result. When one has transcended the trials that come with taking the red pill, a spiritual awakening occurs. With an influx of new, startling information and resulting deprogramming, one may be desperate to understand what is happening. So, one may embrace a label in the initial stages of a spiritual journey. It's useful because it functions as a shorthand, a quick means to identify and connect to others on a similar path. Now, when I took that red pill, I had no idea how accurate my old screen name was in describing me. However, that tag is not the only one that describes me. Red pilled? Certainly. MGTOW? Oh, hell yeah. Monk? Absolutely. Now, I'm not using various shades of red in another use of chameleon skill. I only say that all these descriptions are accurate as to where I stand in the philosophy. It just so happens that I am black. That is a big deal to some people, but not to me. In fact, I would be hard-pressed to tell the racial identity of the faceless posters I watch. And why would I care enough to find out? Yet there are some who intrude into our red pill community and accuse us of being racist. I have briefly interacted with other black people who have had this bad attitude. One in particular, Bean Willie, went out of his way to attack MGTOW adherents as no more than evil animals, something inhuman. Not only was he rude and insulting, it showed that he was apparently unwilling to do enough research to fill a matchbook before commenting and attacking us. Now, my information may be a bit inaccurate because I'm seeing all this at a distance. But there are other organizations out in the real world that are passing around an almost identical message of hope for men. I present to you IBMOR, which is Introspective Black Men of Reform. Now, the information following is from, of all things, something called the Incel Wiki. It's a little on the short side, but the information seemed accurate, so I'm presenting it to you. IBMOR are black men who are dedicated to self-study and self-improvement with the goal of eventual removal of both white supremacy and black matriarchy in the black community. Now, the part I really like is that they believe in the necessity of a black patriarchy. Yeah, buddy. You know, things are at a pretty deplorable state in the black community. There, women refuse any role in a relationship other than dominance. That's not a good situation for anyone. Being in a hazardous situation with a relationship is not limited to one race. We know that female nature is universal as far as hypergamy, use of the legal system and social media to control or destroy any man's life. Despite obvious points of convergence, there is an unfortunate tendency within the black community. Now, I note that one can see that only American black people use race as a primary component of social identity. This is not a slur or a slam, it's just a fact. Because you can see that black Africans rarely do that sort of self-identification. Now, it's unfortunate, but this tendency to focus all through a racial lens does tend to skew things. Returning to the wiki, we see this. As with all things heterosexual black men create, Caucasian supremacy, which is government and corporations, and female matriarchy will attempt to infiltrate, corrupt, and destroy Ibmore. Yeah. Okay, I will have more of a comment on that a little later on. Oh, by the way, that someone needs to hire a spell checker because they wanted to say tenants, Tenets, which is sort of principals. They actually spelled tenants as in renters. Thought that was slightly humorous. Now, I do not need to put on my tinfoil hat to say I am a believer in conspiracy theories. There are too many that have already been proven true. You can look it up on YouTube, and up until now, those videos haven't been taken away. I have no doubt that there are people performing manipulation behind the scenes. I've seen market manipulation clearly planned to steal from people who cannot stop them. Here's a great example. I saw it in the 70s. People that were retired were putting their money in some sort of annuity or financial instrument that was paying 10 to 15% interest. And all of a sudden, it wasn't just one organization saying, oh, we're cutting rates. Across the board, everybody who offered that instrument, suddenly from 10 to 15%, they were only getting 1%. Kind of hard to stay retired when your income has been slashed like that. That looks like organized theft. And anyone remember when savings accounts paid real interest? These examples show that there is a concerted effort to keep people in financial bondage, especially men. Now, there are enemies about, but one must be careful. Too much strength can be dissipated in preparing for an enemy that does not exist. And I think this may be an issue with Ibmore adherents. So, I'm doing my research and I'm reading through the basic precepts. And to be honest here, I saw nothing offensive. Here's some examples. Male leadership. Women are here for sex and reproduction, not leadership. A brotherhood of heterosexual black men that act to secure land, declare a nation, and build a technologically advanced military to defend it. Strengthening yourself physically, mentally, and financially. No marriage by the state. A man's word of loyalty is sufficient. The illusion of submission is the best a female can offer in this gynocentric culture. A female is only truly submissive when society does not give her a choice. Homosexuality and lesbianism represent the death of society, and bisexuality causes instability in society. No arguments with females. Because they feel instead of think, logical arguments are ineffective. Denying your attention is the most effective way to interact with modern women. Now, the only idea I disagree with is an admonition to not reproduce with non-black women after becoming immoral. Now, personally, I've gone through this, and I don't really have any issues with what they're saying. I just wonder at the intense separatist drive that is forced into their philosophy. And I have to admit, I know even less about SYSBM or Save Yourselves Black Men. I looked at a site called slayingevil.com that tagged this acronym. Exposing corruption under every rock. Scum cannot run or hide is on the header. I read that and said, oh, that's pretty good. So I started looking at the article headlines. They know exactly why we're leaving them. Don't get hoodwinked. Is this your queen? Unappreciative wench. Part 7. Passport mocking Negroes. Muddy bootlickers and agents of the Black Witch. Wow. How black women abuse, brutalize, traumatize, and sexualize black children. They have no shame nor standards. Another package delivered. They continue to tell on themselves. They're always scheming evil works against you. Part 16. Damn. Black women, proud child killers. Black man pays $40 million in student debt. Pathetic black females more concerned about his white wife. And the one that made me bust out laughing, simping ain't easy. Now, as someone who has embraced monk mode, I can say I'm a pretty much completely disinterested observer. I don't really care about advice on relationship issues anymore. But I gotta give them props for their focus. They are focused heavily on exposing female nature, which is a good thing. And this is all valuable information that would enhance any man's understanding of the truth about female nature. Now, my contact made a point of saying, and I agree, that there is a lot of power inherent in working together. I have no problem with someone calling themselves by whatever label they want. As I've said more than once, I could give a bald rat's ass how you present yourself. But there's no need for racial divisiveness. There is... Man, hard to read my own writing. That's bad. There is a war on men that does not care how much melanin your skin contains. With so many principles in common, there is no need for separation. We know there are forces about that are actively trying to keep men on the plantation. By spreading misinformation, you claim MGTOW adherents are racist. There is nothing further from the truth. Now, I have not noticed myself, but my contact says Lion of MGTOW is drifting into SYSBM terrain. He also states that if there was such a thing as save yourselves white men, people would be catching hell over it. Absolutely true statement. Because we all know only white people can be racist, right? You know, excuse me, I need to take a quick break and gargle some bleach to get the taste of that propaganda out of my mouth. Ew. So, a smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Why would you deny another man, regardless of his ethnic status or race, valuable information? Are you IBMOR adherents so deep into social separation that you will withhold truth from those who need it? Just because they're not black? That's a pretty disgusting attitude to have. Us red pill men share vital information among each other because we know how the system is set up. Us men are automatically tagged as the aggressor in domestic violence incidents. We are victimized in family court. We are in constant danger of a fake Me Too allegation destroying our lives. All because some snowflake got her feelings hurt. It's treated as a major crime. That's why I do this. I undergo a brief moment of embarrassment to share my experience. If any man, especially a younger man, has learned from my example, I have done my job. I do not know how effective I may be, but I do my best to help everyone. With Red Pill Wisdom, they will save time, money, and sanity. Now I note that there seems to be an invasive cognitive dissonance among black men who are our self-declared antagonists. I certainly noticed this in Bean Willie's videos. His actions show not that my teaching technique was ineffective, because I did a response video and he responded back, and his response to me showed that he actively rejected my information. It's frustrating, to say the least. How can you teach someone who refuses to learn and improve? I guess some people enjoy being trapped in their own ignorance and stupidity. I come again to these basic principles of IBMOR and SYSBM. Some may consider a point or two extreme, but I see many points of convergence. More than enough to find common ground, but we see none of that. Bean Willie actually said black men who claim a MGTOW label are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome and thereby identify with their white oppressors. Really? Well, let me break it down for you. Some principles do not stop at a color line. Are these people actually going to tell me, because I'm an independent conservative and Trump supporter, because I know my own value as a man and I got that from data received elsewhere and not from you, that I can't call myself black anymore? When I heard Bean Willie say that line, it actually rendered me speechless for a moment. I know that I am a man, and my embracing MGTOW philosophy has made me free. If we MGTOW men are fellow travelers on the same road with you, why would you give us interference? Your blind racist hate is not only counterproductive, it's counterintuitive. Well, traveler, yeah, the long-winded son of a bitch has to stop in midstream again. This is the longest script I've ever written, and I was trying really hard to get through it, but there is more information that I want to share with you. But I want to make sure to end this one in time so I'm not brutally chopped off by the vagaries of my camera phone. So, you relax and take a break, and we shall return shortly.